Hello yogis, I'm Kelly, coming to you again with a little shorter segment, this time focusing on extension in the front of the hips. So I'm going to show you a little sequence today that can help you if you feel like you've got tight hip flexors, if you're tight in the psoas. Most of us that sit at a 90-degree angle for most of the day, whether you're at a desk or you're driving a lot, that keeps that joint in that angle all the time. So what we're going to work on today is being able to open that up so that we get that balance. So we're not always just shortening this area, that we're also lengthening it. And again, when we're in that 90-degree angle, a lot of times we don't bring that angle narrower either. So we'll work a little bit on some healthy compression in the front of the hip joints as well. And when you cause healthy stress to joint tissue, it can promote healing. So this is going to be a supported bridge section that we're going to do today. And know that you can always hold these shapes for a little bit longer than I might today. I'm going to move through them quickly because we're doing a video. But know that you can hold them for longer. And I'll just kind of show you a couple things that you can do. So bridge can be counterintuitive if you have high blood pressure. This is an inversion. So our hips are going to be above our heart. So if you have high blood pressure or glaucoma and lifting your hips above your heart bothers you, then know that you can do these postures with your hips even with your heart. So you just won't have any lift underneath the hips. Also, for us women, if you're on your moon cycle, in the beginning of that, sometimes that can bother you if your hips are up higher. So know that you might want to wait a couple days until you do this, but it's completely up to your comfort. It is certainly not dangerous to do if you are on your moon cycle. It's literally just about your comfort level. So I am showing you this supported version today. So whether you have yoga blocks or bricks at home, that's great. If not, if you have a bolster, awesome. If not, you can roll up a blanket, a quilt. You can use, if you have a circular cushion on your couch or sofa, that can work too. So anything that you can put underneath the sacrum so we can lift the hips up a little bit. That's how we're going to access this extension. So I will show you today with blocks, and one of the most important things is to know the placement of where the prop goes. So it's important, this is called supported bridge for a reason. So we want it to be supportive. So if you were to have a bolster or a block, I'm going to turn around for a moment. Where I want this to be is really low down. So at literally the base of your spine. So like the tip of the tailbone is where this sits. We don't want it up in the mid-back. The reason for that, and I can show you when I lie down as well, if you've got it here, it creates that splay in the ribs. And that's not what we're going for here. We're not really going for chest opening or back bending here. We want the support, so we're going to move it down lower. So as I said, I'm going to show you with blocks. Know that you can use two. You can use one on the low or medium setting because we're going to be doing a lot of different things. I wouldn't recommend the highest setting. You can have it on the highest setting for the first part, but eventually I'll have you turn it down. All right, so coming down, always want to plant the feet and hold on behind the back of the thighs to help yourself down. Make sure that I'm in the screen. Okay. So I'm going to find my block. You're going to find what other prop you have. And just gently press into your feet and lift your hips up. Adjust that block, again, underneath you. So it's along the back of the pelvis. So you can really feel that it's supportive here. And again, if I had it up too high, you would see that my tailbone actually comes back down to the earth. And this is not what we're looking for. This hurts. So don't do that. So block underneath the sacrum. All right. So this is our first position that we have in supported bridge. So you can just stay here. The arms can be as you'd like. Maybe you'd like to find cactus arms if you want a little bit of chest opening. And just stay here for a couple of moments. Beautiful. And know you could stay here a little bit longer if that feels good. Otherwise, I'm going to start to show you a couple of different things that you can do in this orientation. So we're going to start out with that little bit of healthy compression in the front of our hip joint. So hug your left knee into your chest. Interlock the fingers around the front of the shin. If that doesn't work for you, you can hold on behind the back of the thigh. And just very gently, you're taking that angle between your thigh and your belly, and you're making a little bit smaller. So you might feel a little bit of compression in the front of that hip joint. You can encourage the knee towards the shoulder as long as you're not feeling any sharp or shooting pain. If you start to feel sharp or shooting pain, then back out of that. It might mean that you're reaching bone-on-bone compression in the front of that hip, and that's not something that you want to pull into. So you can stay here for a couple moments and breathe, and then if you'd like, you can also lengthen the right leg out long. So once you do that, we've now created that extension in the front of the right hip joint. If that's too much for you, again, you can always bend the knee back and plant the foot. All right, if you've lengthened that leg, I want you to replant the right foot, release the left foot down next to the right, and we'll take the other side. So hugging the right knee into the chest, interlocking the fingers. So we're not holding these for incredibly long, but know that you can. You can hold them for 1 to 2 minutes or maybe 5 or 10 breaths. Completely up to you. You could use a timer or just your instinct. And know that as you do this, that one side might feel very different than the other. We are not built symmetrically. So whether you've had injuries, old scar tissue, or just the way your joints articulate, you might find you can get a little deeper on one side than the other. Again, you're just gently encouraging that knee in towards the body, making sure we're not feeling sharp or shooting pain. And then we have that option to lengthen the left leg out. And again, you're going to feel that as an opening in the front of the left hip. So this is the hip flexors, the psoas, and that's an area that we don't often get to stretch. So this can be a really nice stretch for you. But if it's too much, replant the foot. We'll get an option to do it again later, no worries. If that left leg is long, replant it first, and then let the right foot come down with the left. From here, just bring both knees into the chest. And you can hold on to opposite knees here. You can stay here, and again, you can have that little encouragement of the knees in towards the body. And maybe you feel the knees come out to the side a little bit. Sometimes if you bring the knees out to the side, that changes the orientation of the hip joint, and you might be able to clear compression. So you might feel like you can get a little bit deeper here. Or perhaps you like your knees a little bit more narrow. Try it out. Feel your hips out. It's absolutely okay to take some circles here as well. And then if it feels good, you could take a little rock left to right on the bolster here, or on the block. And that'll give a little massage for the sacrum and the lower back. Doesn't feel good for everybody, so if it doesn't feel good for you, then skip it. All right, so we're gonna go for the extension now. So let your feet come down onto the earth, and then slowly, one leg at a time, begin to lengthen the legs out. Now the feet can be whatever distance apart that you would like. And again, the arms could be down by the side. You could find a cactus shape, or perhaps reach the arms up over the top of the head and find a diamond shape. So again, I'm creating that extension now on the front side of my hips. And this elevation in the hips helps you get a little bit deeper than if you would just be lying flat. You do have the option here, if the block on the lowest setting is not enough, then plant the feet, turn it up to the medium. Try it out. And if you're really open and this still isn't enough for this part, you could go up to the highest setting. Again, sometimes bigger is not better. If you're feeling it at a lower setting, that's absolutely fine. But if you need to, you can bring it up to that higher setting. But you certainly don't want to be feeling any pain or any amount of uncomfortableness. The biggest thing here is we don't want any muscle tension. We don't want to feel any of that tension pulling, because that doesn't allow the stretch to happen. So you want to be able to soften into these things, and to do that, you need to be comfortable. Beautiful. And again, you can stay here for longer if you would like, maybe even 2-3 minutes. But we're going to keep moving because this is a shorter video. So bend into the knees, bring your feet back in towards your body. Now if you're up on the highest setting, I'm going to have you turn it down to either the medium or the low setting. We're going to take legs up the wall just for a moment, just because this is such a nice posture. So one leg at a time, kick your legs up towards the ceiling. And again, this prop underneath you is supporting you. And know that if you have a bolster or a cushion underneath you, if it's not enough, you can always add a blanket on top of that bolster or cushion in order for you to go up higher. If it needs to be less, then make it a skinnier blanket or pillow. So legs up the wall just kind of allows everything to settle. It's kind of reversing the flow of fluids. So if you have trouble with cankles, you get swollen ankles, I do especially when I travel. I get a lot of fluid buildup in my ankles, my feet, and my calves. So in doing this, that'll slowly, passively allow that extra fluid to come down and be siphoned out by the lymph system, getting rid of it. So this posture, also called Viparita Karani, sometimes called waterfall. Again, this is one that can be held for long periods of time. This is a really nice restorative posture. It can kind of help calm you, really nice to take before bed. All right, I have one more little trick in my book to show you. So we're gonna stretch out the front of the groin here. So this stretch is not for everyone. So if you find you try this and you're like, then skip it. You don't have to do it. Otherwise, bend into the knees. So we're gonna gently hug the knees into the chest, and then you're just gonna cross at the ankle. And we can start with the left leg on top, right leg on bottom. It doesn't really matter. And then from here, slowly let your feet land down. So your ankles are still crossed here. So the knife edges of your feet are on the mat. And then you're very gently gonna allow those knees to open out to the side. So this is called front groin lift. It doesn't have a fancy name, but if you have a fancy name and you'd like to name it, let me know. So we're basically sitting, our legs are in Sukhasana, but we're in Supta Sukhasana. So we're lying down in a Sukhasana position. So we're allowing the groins to open now, but we're still creating that extension in the front of the hips. We've also got external rotation. Now, if this is too much and you have more props, you can always prop up the knees here so they're a little bit higher. So that takes that external rotation and lessens it a little bit so it's not too much. And again, you can stay here for as long as you'd like. And always an option if you find it's not enough, then you could come up to the medium setting. I'm going to say the highest setting is way too much, but the medium setting on a block should be okay as well. You might feel it more in the left or right side. It'll just depend. We're going to do the other side as well. Again, you could hold this for a little bit longer. This one I wouldn't hold for too long, maybe 2 minutes max. Take your hands to the outsides of the knees or thighs. We want to give ourselves a little help here to bring the knees in. And then uncross the legs. You can hug the knees into the chest for a moment if you'd like, just to kind of reset. And then we're going to take the other side. So this time the right ankle is on top. And we're crossing just at the ankles and then letting the feet come down. Knife edges of the feet down. You can separate the feet a little bit if you need to here. It's not necessary that the ankles be pushing into each other. And then very gently, you start to let those knees open out to the side. Front going lift, other side, and you might find this side completely different than the first. That's normal. Again, you just take each posture as it works for you and each side as it works. It is an absolute falsity that you have to take the same variation of a posture on each side. That is not true. Our bodies are not the same, so you do what you need to do. Maybe you need to prop things differently on this side. That's absolutely okay. You are still getting all of the benefits you need and you're honoring the needs of your body, which is the true yoga. Beautiful yogis, holding this for a little bit longer if you'd like, but otherwise I'm going to lead you out. Again, taking the hands to the outsides of the legs and gently encouraging them closed. Uncrossing the feet. If you're on the medium setting, I want you to set it down to the lowest setting. We'll take one more transition before we lose the block. Hug the knees into the chest. And here we can take a supported happy baby. So just let the feet come up towards the sky. You don't have to hold on to the legs here. You can keep the arms out to the side, but you could hold on to the back of the thighs if you'd like for a gentle encouragement. Know that you can also hold on to the outsides of the feet or the peace fingers to the big toes as well. So supported Ananda Balasana or happy baby. And again, if it feels good, a very gentle rock left and right. Beautiful. Once you've had enough of that, you'll just very slowly let the feet land back down onto the earth. Press into the feet enough to lift the hips to move the prop out from underneath you. Now, if you have a bolster, know that you can lift the hips up and lower it down underneath the knees to perhaps take a supported Shavasana. If it was a block, you can set it out to the side. You can widen the feet a little bit for a moment and let the knees tent in just to kind of release. And from here, it can feel nice to just kind of windshield wipe the knees back and forth. So you can take the feet out a little wider if you'd like. Maybe you let the knees land down to the left for a moment, take a little twist just to kind of release that. That can feel nice in the spine. So this windshield wipe action, in whatever orientation you take it, tends to loosen the lower back. So if you have a tight lower back, again from sitting too much, take this. This really feels good. And just do it slowly. It doesn't have to be a big movement. It could be a small one. Beautiful. And once you've done that, you also have the option to bring the soles of the feet together. Perhaps find Supta Baddha Konasana. So letting the knees come out wide. Soles of the feet together. This is reclined butterfly. Or you could simply let your legs lengthen out, whether you have a prop underneath the back of the knees or the thighs. Just find a couple moments here in a Shavasana. So this just kind of allows all of the work that we just did to integrate. Also just kind of allows everything to settle and for you to take a little bit of time for yourself. When you're ready to come out, you'll bring movement back in, maybe a full body stretch. Hugging the knees in, rolling over onto the side. Always a good idea to do this for a moment. Use the bicep as a pillow. This is fetal asana or fetal position. And then as you're ready, you'll press yourself out of your shape. So again, that was supported bridge. Really nice for opening up the hips. It's really good for anyone to practice, and it's pretty accessible to most people to do. So feel free to try this one out, share it with your friends. The more yoga that spreads, the better. And remember, the yoga is not so much about the asanas or the postures, but about understanding your body, taking your time, treating your body well. We call that ahimsa, no violence on the body, being gentle and being patient with yourself. Yogis, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.